Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about studying drawing in order to reimagine reality or stylize reality. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So a long time ago, I was asked about drawing from life in order to study so that, the example that was given to me was that this person who asked the question was drawing their friends. And he wanted to draw their friends, but then he also wanted to make them more cartoony. And it would fall apart when he did that. He didn't understand what the disconnect was. And he was wondering how studying from life, like figure drawing and portrait studies and things like that, how can you go about doing that in order to then take the information being learned from actual representational construction and all that stuff from actual real like this figure drawing study, and then applying that and using that in order to change the style, the language, to make it more cartoony, more stylized, that sort of thing. And I'm not even talking caricature, just a more stylized version of what you see. So this is a very complicated subject, and I have touched upon it in other forms, I think, in other videos. And I will link to one that I think kind of goes a little bit deeper into this. So I'm going to do a kind of a worm's eye view of this. So it's not going to be a nitty gritty thing. It's going to be more theoretical so that you could understand kind of the direction or approach that you need in order to get to that point. Okay. So I am going to start by doing this via an example. So I'm going to take this photo that I've used before when I was doing head study figure drawing studies. And one of the things that you need to know when you're drawing any kind of portrait is all the head drawing structural stuff. So you don't necessarily there are multiple approaches to drawing portraits. One of the approaches is to not understand anything that you're actually observing so much as you're just kind of copying what you see without really understanding what you see. And a lot of people have gotten good at doing that. And what ends up happening when you get really good at drawing what you see without understanding what you see is not being able to draw out of your imagination. So and that's why one of the reasons why you wouldn't be able to stylize something is because you don't understand what you are seeing. So this is why construction comes into play. That's why you should learn things like the Loomis head or Bridgman head, or take the Michael Hampton book and learn how to draw heads from Michael Hampton, Loomis, and Bridgman. Like all three, like they all give you different perspectives, different information. Some of it will click better than others for you. And so that's what you need. You need, and even the Riley method rhythms. There is so much to know about all this stuff. And a lot of this I have made videos of. But in general, I'm going to just show you many, like the hodgepodge of different approaches that I use myself. Here would be like the Loomis head, but then I also like using the Steve Huston head shape here, and then so it's a combination of sort of the Loomis head structure head and Huston, and then and then there's Bridgman here like this, So there's a lot of different things that I'm thinking about when I'm breaking down a head. This kind of a Bridgman kind of planar nose here. And then there are other types of nose structures that I'm using from other people. But I'm thinking, and then of course here's the Riley rhythms that come in, and then you start kind of working with the rhythms of the Riley method. So there's a lot of different things you should learn and know before you start. This is the foundation. This is what the figure drawing is supposed to be. When you're studying figure drawing, what you're trying to do, especially like if you're drawing from life, or in this case from reference, you are going to drawing books that have construction, like Hampton and Bridgman, and Loomis doesn't have as much construction, but there's a lot of the things in Loomis that kind of, he leaves out a lot of information. But in general, you're trying to pick up all the things in these different systems that help you break down what is happening when you draw when you draw a head or a portrait. And the purpose, of course, is so that you can but the more you understand what's going on, the more you'll be able to draw what you'll be able to understand what you're looking at, and then get a more accurate drawing, right? So that's the idea. So I am not showing you, what I'm not showing you is all the different formulas and methods that I am using to get the results I'm getting. All I'm telling you is what I have studied, and the little bits and pieces, the hodgepodge and the marriage of all these influences, including one of my very first teachers, Glenn Villepeu. I mean, so there's a lot of influences to my drawing style, or my drawing method, or my construction, I should say, that goes into doing what I'm doing, right? Like, so Huston, Riley, Villepeu, Hampton, Bridgman, all of these guys are influencing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And then what happens is that you combine all this knowledge that you've done for years. You're just kind of taking people's formulas and applying them to what actual people, your actual drawings. And I think maybe I'll push this up a little bit more. Make adjustments here. Some of my proportions are a little off. I think there's more forehead than I gave him. So you play around, you mess around, you try your best to get what the results you want, but you do it informed. That's the notion is that you're doing it with an informed understanding of what you're doing, because you've studied every individual part. You've studied the noses and how to construct the nose so that these planes, blah blah blah. You study the eyeball with the way that the tear duct and all the muscles in the eye and the way it moves. I mean, like all this stuff you've done individually. You've done the studies of all these things. That's the idea is that you've done individual studies of all these body parts so that you could understand the very foundations and constructions of all the things, so that when you have to apply them all together, head, construction, planes, all of that, and then when you practice studying from life, you go, oh, this is that plane, this is that construction, this is this cartilage, this is this thing, this is this boxy shape, whatever it is that you're doing, this rhythm over here, whatever it is that you're studying, you're applying it when you do a study from observation. And once you've kind of grokked this understanding of all the pieces, and then you're able to assimilate them cohesively in a rhythmical, connected way that will allow you to actually draw what you see by and understanding what you see through the construction methods and formulas that you've been practicing. Then, when you want to simplify, stylize a person, it becomes a little bit easier. It becomes something that you're like, okay, well, now that I understand what I'm seeing and why it exists and what it's meant to represent, what is it that I am observing represents can be represented in a formula that I've studied. Once you've gotten to that point, and this is still, I'm still kind of, I still want to futz with this. I still want to play with it. Then you can go, okay. A stylization is a representation of a natural thing like an eye in a graphically different, simplified way. So an eyeball could be two dots. It could be a line and a dot. It could be, but this line should, in theory, represent some kind of real world thing. Like maybe it's this line of the eye. And then now you've got a cartoon or stylized version of this eyeball, but it's based on real world understanding and reality and knowledge of the thing, the actual eyeball. So, in other words, you've got to know reality well enough to stylize it in a convincing way, because the stylization is a simplification of reality, and it's and if you don't know reality, how can you simplify it and represent it in a simplified way? So let me take this guy and kind of stylize him a little bit. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna just reduce the opacity here, and I'm gonna use black because I'm using gray as my Okay, so let's say that you want to, and not even be a caricature of this guy. Caricature is a different thing, and it's actually its own kind of art that requires a lot of practice, and I'm extremely bad at it. So I'm simply going to show you how you can simplify a regular face or a study, and play with it to try to get a more cartoony version of what you already have, even though it may not be a caricature. So let me take this guy that I just drew, using even the proportions that I have here, which are a little off. I think his forehead is bigger. Some of the proportions are off. That's okay. All I wanted to do was talk about stylizing. Why bother studying a more representational construction in order to stylize? So for the purposes of this demonstration that I'm doing, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay, so like I said, the eye could be stylized. It could be like this. We can take this line and just really push it. We could take this nose and just simplify it, and we can just kind of, let's see, maybe we can just do this. And so what this does is it takes the ball of the nose and the nostril and all of these shapes, and then we just simplify it into just a simple shape. And this is already more stylized, right? And then we can make this and be really bushy. So, and see how his lips are fairly tight. Maybe we don't even have lips at all. We could have, and how the muzzle of his mouth comes in, and we can just go meh. And I like this. See this muscle here? It's great. Like you could see, like if we were to take this off and then go back in here, and then we can see that when we oops, go back to red. We can see that there's the chin here, this rhythm here, this comes in and around, and we want this rhythms here, this plane of the chin. We want all that. That's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. So we want that, and so when we look at this, we can make an informed decision and make it. Oops. We can make it like this, like. And then this, there's a lot of different ways we could approach this side of the face. We can go like this and simplify the heck out of all of that. We could even simplify it like this. There's no right way. It's just what you want, right? And here we have like the hair line. Maybe I could recede it even more, but simplify here. So all of this is simplified, but it's an informed simplification. Now he's looking a little bit more like something out of Scooby-Doo or something. So you see it's already much more simplified, and it's an informed simplification. It's an informed simplification. It's by which I mean that it's simplified because we know what we would have done in a much more naturalistic way. And so what we're doing is we're making stylized or designed or simplified decisions based on what we actually know. And then here, this is kind of the same. We could even simplify it even more. At this point, simplification and how can we say this? How can we state this as simply as possible? Is the goal. I can't see his. The shadow gets in the way. I can't see what's going on in the hair. I'm just making it up here, and then maybe just a couple of hairs to represent the hair. Then this neck comes down here. And then we can either go crazy with the neck wrinkles here or just put one and call it good. And then maybe that here. And maybe here, there should be a line here maybe, or not. I don't like that. How about this? No. Then never mind. I'll leave it all by itself. I won't touch it. Turn that off, and then we got that. We got a stylized version of the guy. And it's a stylized version. It still adheres to the naturalistic human construction of the guy, but the decisions, the line work that we went with when we did a final line was simplified, but it was an informed simplification. It was based on actual real anatomical areas. An understanding of what we were simplifying and what we were stylizing, like this, like I said, like these planes of the chin, but I just pushed them a little bit more, but they are actually the representation of real human head planes that do exist. There's a side plane here, etc. We could even add value based on our reference. I'll do this really, really quick using the darker pencil, which is the kind of like the Photoshop-ish brush of this program, and then we'll just add a little bit of light just so that we can. It's still based off of the real lighting that we see here, and I'll even simplify the lighting a little bit. So this is very, very quick. And even the lighting I stylized so I could simplify it a little bit. So you see it's simple, it's simplified, but it's based on real knowledge of construction, and that is the purpose. That's the theory behind learning all these naturalistic, representational things, drawing representational, studying figure drawing and portraiture and anatomy and construction and rhythms, different formulas, all that stuff. That's why it's important, and that's how you could use that knowledge. And then once you understand it, you can regurgitate it and make more stylized choices that are representational or are simplified stylized representations of real world construction or real world anatomy, or like what's really going on, but it's just simplified into a line, and pushed and designed, and you're pushing what's actually there and enhancing it in certain ways so that it feels even better, or it's cleaner, or and it works. It's just that's how, and that's why you want to be able to learn the natural in order to stylize, because this stylization is just a simplification of what of reality. And if you don't understand what you're seeing, if you don't understand reality, if you can't break it down into tiny little pieces, then you have a much more difficult time simplifying what you see. And so if you want to make a cartoony version of your friend, this is the reason why it's difficult, because you haven't learned how to draw naturalistic enough. That said, before I actually learned all the anatomy and all the construction and all the things that I've just been talking about, when I was in high school, etc., and I would do this for people or reference photos that I would use, I would sometimes get it right. I would sometimes get something that looked right on accident. I would find the right things to simplify in spite of the fact that I didn't know I was simplifying what I was simplifying or why, because it was accidental. I just kind of did it right, but I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to explain why. It was an accident. I would just stumble into it. And so it is possible that you can stumble into it without knowing what you're doing and then think you know what you're doing. But it's better if you do know what you're doing and then you consciously do it, because then you could more consistently do it well. Okay, so that's this month's video. Hopefully this is informative, and hopefully this answers the question. I think the person asked me this question about 3 years ago or something. I'm very, very sorry that I didn't get to it. It was such a deep topic that I was kind of afraid to talk about it. I thought it would be I would have to be more specific, but I realized when I just chose to actually do this video that I can just not go into all the minutia and just talk about the generalities. And if you have any more questions, if you want to know about the generalities, then I'll start breaking things down. But again, there is a video where I actually break down eyeballs, right? And then I talk about breaking down eyeballs and then stylizing eyeballs and how to do that. I will link to that that video in the description of this one. But if you want me to talk a little bit more about nitty-gritty stuff like that, then go ahead and comment and let me know, and be specific as to what you would want to see. But otherwise, this is the general answer to the question. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, I highly encourage you to support me on Patreon. And if you are one of those people who wish you could draw, if you just looked at this and said, dang it, I wish I could even get even close to that, and you because you don't think you can even draw yourself out of a paper bag, you can't draw a straight line, you can't draw a stick figure, then I will link to there's a link in the description of this video also to a course that I recorded that will get you from knowing absolutely nothing to being able to at least doodle with confidence, being able to do flat graphic cartoon characters on your own for fun, which will be the first step into understanding, being able to like go and pick up drawing books from the bookstore and actually start understanding what they're talking about. Because part of the barrier between learning to draw, because the whole talent, I don't have enough talent thing, is that you just don't have the hand-eye coordination to in the confidence to make the marks you want. But then if I teach you how to make the marks and have the confidence to know that you can make the marks, then from that point on, it's just about advancing mark making. But it has nothing to do with talent so much as just doing it. You get good at what you do the most. So, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye.